Ah, hello, and welcome to my ship. Champ is going crazy because I'm talking to somebody, you guys. Nothing I can do about that. Anyway, this is the ship. I've spent a few days now on board. Haven't changed much, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a before tour so you could see what I actually got. And for later on down the road, once it's all built up, you can compare it to how I found it. It looks pretty bad, but the news is actually pretty good. So let me show you what's here, and let me show you my plans. This boat is an Oro 47, but it's not actually 47 feet long. They took the plans of the 47 and then chopped the last 3 feet off of it, so the back is kind of stubby. The decks above are all in various degrees of disrepair and rot. There's patches all throughout that are kind of rotten, but that's okay because it gives me the opportunity to tear them out and to expand them if I choose, which I think I'm going to. The plan right now is to kind of abandon a lot of James Wharram's design principles, in that I'm not going to be doing lashed beams, I'm not going to be doing low decks. Instead of going for flexibility like the Wharram designs often have, I'm going to go for a little bit of a stiffer design like the newer catamarans, like the Laguna or the Katanas or something like that. So a lot more glass, a lot more foam, and a little bit lighter but a lot stiffer. And this one's only 20 feet wide, so I'm not expanding it out to 24 feet, and it's about 43 feet long, give or take. So let's take a tour and I'll show you guys some of the details of what's already here. So in the back here we have these two large storage cabins. I'm thinking of actually raising the ceiling on these a little bit just to match with this beam to support it across, because back here this will be the cockpit area. Originally I was going to put it inside the cabin, but I'm thinking now to put it out the back, put a little bimini, a hard shell bimini Dodger thing, and yeah, that will be where I'll steer from. There'll be an electric motor that goes straight down to the center and pivots around 360 and allows me to thrust side to side, and also allows me to have just one engine, one motor I should say, because it's electric, and allows me also to pivot it and move it out of the way so that I get no drag when I'm sailing. Over here we have the main entryway. I want to put another one of these doors on the other side. Keep in mind this cabin, although it's full plywood right now, will have a lot more windows in it when I'm done. This deck here, chunks of it are going to have to be replaced, so probably the whole thing actually, but on the inside it's nice. It kind of looks terrible, but the thing is most of that is just chipped up paint, because he sanded in fiberglass. Vern sanded fiberglass but didn't do much else, so didn't repaint it or didn't recover it, so there's gonna be a little bit of damage there, but not too much. Alright, heading inside, you can see the start of my new floor. This floor here will give me headroom inside of the main cabin of about 6'8", give or take. So that will be nice and cozy for me to walk around in. And this right here is the remnants of the old tiki style deck. So that's being torn out. These beams are going to be torn out, but I'll be saving the wood. And then I'll be replacing the beam up forward, moving it a little bit further forward to support the first mast. There'll be 2 masts on board. So this space over here is actually going to be the main space of the boat, the main communal space. I want this whole area to be a degree of like kitchen and kind of communal space, and then this area behind me, this will be mostly seating and yeah, lounging and the table, drafting table kind of thing for whatever we want to do. But for the time being, it's probably just going to be turned into a workspace, because I can stand up straight in here and I have the most amount of space to work on cutting and drawing and doing everything else I need to do while this boat is covered up for the winter. So our first focus right now is to get this area kind of shored up and sealed up, and then maybe I can get it a little bit warmer in here and be a little bit more comfortable throughout the winter. You'll notice over here there's a tank. That's a diesel fuel tank, and it runs to a diesel heater below deck. There's another one actually on the other side. Each side has its own diesel fuel system, and the engine, which sits in this mess back here, is also diesel. All of that will eventually go, but for now it's enough to keep me warm and dry, so I'm happy about that. All right, let's go into the starboard hull first. This is the hull that I'm currently staying in. Hello, you noisy bugger. Oh, it's nice and warm in this one, so we'll come down. I know, it's exciting. All right, so this right here is 3 compartments of the starboard hull. This right here is the engine. Can hardly see it, but there's a 3-cylinder 29 horsepower diesel back there. Also, Champ's bed sits in here, so he has a place to stay out of the way and be comfortable without getting his muddy paws all over my bed. Yeah, thank you. I know, it's not that exciting. You can just chill. I wasn't talking to anybody, I promise. All right, and this is the galley currently. Eventually, this will become the head. So I'm gonna keep this sink. I'm probably gonna keep this whole counter set up, clean this up a little bit, and there's gonna be a giant shower here, and I'll put a head over on this side, remove all of this cabinetry, or at least half of it, probably up to here, and then from here on it'll be the head, and then back here will be shower, and then this will be a sealed off, and there'll be a porthole over here on the roof once I replace this roof and raise it up a bit, and this will be one of the smaller berths. So it's actually still quite large. I'd say it's not quite a queen size. Maybe it's queen size at the bottom here and bigger than a twin at the top. So yeah, it's pretty big. Definitely comfortable for 2 people. You could still do 2 people in here for no problem. And yeah, I might stretch it out a bit more on the other side because there's a couple of there's a bit more space up there, but there's also a hatch and another storage compartment about the same length up in the front. The back will be another berth. It's about the exact same size as the one up front, and that one will be accessible from these stairs. You walk through the door on this side to get to the bathroom, and then you walk through the door on that side to get to that little berth. All right, so now that is covered, look at this little porthole. We're gonna climb up above, take the key. All right, coming back up onto the cabin deck, bridge deck, I don't know. Again, future me is gonna cringe at this because I'm using none of the right sailor terms probably most of the time, but that's just who I am. All right, now coming down into the port side hull. Ooh, it is halfway through renovations in here, and it's not quite as nice as the other side, but it's a bit more open so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Here's the height of the floor on the other side. It's a bit high. I can't stand up fully straight, but if you look back there, that floor down there has been lowered, and that's what I'm going to do to all the floors where I'm walking around these halls. I'm going to lower them all because as far as I'm concerned, there's no point in having this much space to walk on. You can get a smaller space and be able to stand up straight. It's much better trade-off. So this will be the nicest of the berths when I'm done, the biggest. So there's going to be berth across here, again another wall and doorway for privacy, another berth on this side, this one the same size as the other 2 on the other side, and then another one up front over here where this wall, this whole doorway doesn't exist anymore. It's now a wall, and the hatch, which is just above right there, will actually be moved, and this whole roof will be raised because it's kind of rotten, and once it's raised and out of the way, we'll be able to have a hatch that'll open up into the main part of the cabin above, so that all of these 5 berths, 1, 2, 3, 4, that size, and 1 big one, will all be accessible from the cabin above, right on. So the idea is that even in a storm, we'll be able to use all that space. All right, so that's just the space for the cabins here and all the berths and the head. Let's go above deck onto the bow and talk a little bit about the front of the boat. All right, so this walkway here is not ideal, especially on rocking seas. That would be very uncomfortable. So eventually this system over here is going to become a lot more complete. Now, this beam right here has been recently redone last year. there's a bit of it on this side that has accumulated a little bit of mold, so we're going to be cutting that off, cleaning it up, and glassing it in. I'm not going with the James Wharram flexible style design, which I know I'm going to lose a few fans for that one, but just given what I have here on this ship and what I'd like to do with it, I am kind of bringing the James Wharram design as like principles of flexibility, of DIY build, and of strength, and bringing that all into kind of a modern 21st century thing by using foam and glass a lot more, building something more smooth, rounded, with a little bit more strength and stiffness. So this mock-up right here, which is really just acting as a rain shield for now, there's going to be a angular window bay on this side. So the mast will actually raise up out of the center, right about where that red cedar plank is, and the mast will come somewhere from up there. There's going to be a new beam there, because I'm tearing that one out and putting a new one across there, and it's going to support this big beam, big mast going up, and forward of that there's going to be a cutout for the lockers, for the anchor locker and chains and everything else like that will be right there in front of the mast. To either side of the mast there's going to be a bank of windows to give us a nice big view of forward, and combined with the windows that we're going to have on the plywood over here, it's going to make for a nice big open space on deck. So because this drop down area is not going to offer me a lot of floor space, I'm actually planning on having a hydroponic garden to grow greens while I'm doing long passages and while I'm in remote places. We'll see what the logistics of that is eventually, but for now it seems like a good idea. Hopefully I stick to it. And these over here will be kind of openings for the hatch. So you see that rotting wood over here, that's all going to be replaced, raised up, and then the hatch is going to be right there, and you're going to be able to walk through a little walkway on diagonally across from the deck over there, and get access to these berths. Up front we just have storage berths, so those are just going to be sailing equipment, ropes, extra sails, and I'm not going to do much of these because they're really actually in pretty good shape. There's no rot up here, so I'm just going to be making new hatches, sanding everything down, putting another layer of fiberglass on it, and sealing it up. Buttrock's got a cool idea for the fronts of the boat, and I know many of you have been asking about what I'm going to name this boat. I don't want to say it, not when I'm on board anyways. Apparently it's very bad luck, and I've got some ideas about it. Again, it's going to take the amount of paperwork I got to go through to register it and everything else, but tentatively we've got a name, and tentatively we've got some plans, and yeah, you'll just have to stay tuned for that one. Bit of a name reveal probably coming up. Oh, all right. Oh, sorry, I forgot to cover one more thing on the front of the deck. So up here you'll notice between the two hulls there's this big gaping hole, and so we have the main support beam, and then another beam over here, which this one's going to be replaced because it's original, but this is just this big gaping hole. So what I'm doing is making a basket all the way across, planks down the center, and then the whole thing lowers into the water so that I can drive a dinghy up onto the trampolines, and I can walk right up the ramp. Champ can walk right up the ramp. Just a much easier way of getting on board when we're on anchor. Alright, I just want to move back one more second just to talk a little bit about the back plan. Alright, so coming out of this door, which there will be a door eventually, there is this area. Now this will be the captain's cockpit kind of area. I'm thinking of putting two wheels, one on this side, one on this side, each one connected to its own rudder, and then the two rudders connected. All of that system will run maybe in these boxes. This box system I'm going to wrap around here with some bent fiberglass to give it some rigidity and some more hydrodynamics. But then in this back section I'm going to be implementing a bit of the Wharram design, putting just a regular cedar deck in, and yeah, cleaning up all these back need to be torn off and redone, so that's something I have to do on the pulling it out. But yeah, and then that gives us these massive storage lockers. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them just yet. I'm definitely not going to turn them into another berth, because I don't think we need more than 5 berths on board, because that is a lot of berths. But yeah, eventually this will be a really nice open air lounging area, and when it's really hot out, I think that space will become extremely premium. All right, and that's just the wood and fiberglass stuff. There are so many plans I have for electronics, for heating, cooling, airflow, just computers, all kinds of interesting things. I'm gonna have massive solar array here on the roof. I'm gonna have big wind turbines that are coming in already. Like, there's a lot of other stuff going on here, but I thought I'd just cover the basics and get you guys a little excited, because if you're doing the math, 5 berths, well, Champ and I, we don't need 5 berths to ourselves. So yes, we will be taking on crew, and a lot of it. A lot of the crew will be people you've already seen on the channel. A lot of crew are coming actually early to help me build, which is really cool. So hopefully in the next few days we'll start seeing some of those guys. So yeah, a lot of the crew will be you guys watching, and I'm really excited for that, because everyone I've met through this YouTube channel has been fantastic, and I just love the idea of not only inspiring you guys to get out and travel more on whatever budget you have, but also, you know, actually being able to say, hey, come out, you know, sit on my boat and let's go somewhere, let's go on an adventure. I love that. I love that, I love that, I love that. Alright guys, that's it for today. Just wanted to show you the boat. I want to get back to work.